Crime and Wine. I'm Pamela Fagan Hutchins, your host, and this is the show where I talk with other crime fiction writers about the stories of thrills and suspense that will leave you mystified, sometimes horrified, and always wanting more. Please join me in welcoming today's special guest. Hello, you guys. This is Pamela coming to you from Denmark for the last time, but representing our hometown Sheridan Hawks from our hockey team in Wyoming, because I'm so happy to be going home. What has been fun has been rainy and dark, and I am ready for the sunshine in the mountains, and I'm ready to welcome our guest today. I want you guys to virtually give a warm welcome to Shannon Hollinger. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I am delighted to have you. I was delighted to read your book. I'm delighted that we share a publisher. All of this is so much fun. And congratulations. What was the release date for Best Friends Forever?
It was January 12th.
January 12th. So we're still brand new.
Right. Not even a week.
That's fantastic. So you guys, the book is Best Friends Forever. It's a psychological thriller. And if you could tell us just a little about it in your own words, Shannon.
It's about a girl, Kate, and on the night of her high school graduation, they're out where they're not supposed to be, partying, and she comes up on her best friend holding a bloody rock over a dead body with her little sister standing there.
It's only slightly creepy. And I'm sure none of that going out doing things that you aren't supposed to on your graduation night. Nothing like that in your background or mine. Just
Oh, no, I was out there way before I was supposed to be.
So her best friend is holding a rock over a dead body, and the rest is thrills and chills.
Yes. So she panics and she actually moves away and leaves town.
And doesn't come back at all.
No.
For
10 years.
Yeah. And that's where we pick her up. So what gave you the idea for this book?
Actually, my husband and I were watching a movie probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and he said something like, would a teenage girl really be that stupid? I'm like, oh yeah, they go where they're not supposed to do, and it got me started. I started thinking about how lucky my friends and I were when we were younger that nothing really bad ever happened, because, the scene where the murder takes place, we went out there, that's the dunes. We were there. We weren't supposed to be, and we got really lucky that bad things didn't happen. So I started thinking, what if?
Isn't that the truth, though? You think back, for me now, it's that I've raised 3 daughters, and I think back on their high school years and how terrified I was they would do the things that I did and not be as lucky. It's amazing. I'm sorry to all teenage girls out there, but it's amazing how very not smart we can be as teenage girls. So it was a fantastic idea, and the reviews have been phenomenal.
Thank you.
Well, so with this book, is it going to be a standalone? I assume it's a standalone, and
yes,
that
you're working a standalone.
Are you working on another psychological thriller now, or what's in the works?
I have one coming out in March, and that one is The Slumber Party. Another dual timeline, but mainly takes place when they're older and the characters are slightly older. And then in November, I have the Chief Maggie Riley, which is a police procedural series that is coming out. That one's set in Maine.
Yes.
Much different, much older, more mature, different audience.
So with your police procedural set in Maine, do you have ties to Maine? Because these first books were in Florida, right?
The first book's in Florida. The second one's in Massachusetts, where my husband and I lived for 3 years. We lived in New Hampshire for 5 years, and we were right on the Maine border, and we actually went on our honeymoon in Maine.
We have a family place, my husband and I do, at Lake Mooselook-McGuntick, which is in Rangeley area. And so we're always back and forth across that New Hampshire border. Such a pretty area, but it can be creepy.
Oh, it can be very creepy.
So I'm looking forward to a creepy police procedural, which is more like your own background, right? I mean, before writing, you did something.
I have degrees in crime scene technology and physical anthropology. So I spent a brief stint in forensics.
So now you're my go-to girl when I have questions. I just want you to know that. You
Okay.
guys, I'm not sharing her email address, but I'm using it.
Feel free.
You can write to me whenever you have lawyer questions if you don't have somebody else already that's a dial-in for you. But so did you enjoy that work?
I did for the most part. My intention was to be a CSI out in the field collecting evidence, and I was at the medical examiner's office, which is all hands-on with
Mhm.
decedents and bodies. Didn't like that as much.
Yeah.
I was never going to be that person who was comfortable watching a fly on an exposed bowel try and land on my face.
I know.
Some people are okay with that. I never got comfortable.
It's like the analysis and the science is super interesting, but the actual
Parts of it, yeah, leave a lot to be desired.
yeah, exactly. I can only imagine. So for you, has writing been a lifelong dream? Is this something that you stumbled into? How'd you get into it?
I started writing as soon as I could write. My mom has a trunk of stories I wrote when I was little, and I kind of fell out of it. It didn't really, I mean, most people don't make a living as a writer.
Right.
And so when I went to school, I was trying to be realistic. What can I do? And so I did that. I bartended through college,
Hmm.
and I've had real estate licenses. So I always figured land, alcohol, and crime, I have my bases covered. Now it's,
You really do.
yeah,
Well, and as a bartender, that kind of makes you like a social a psychologist almost. You get to know everyone, you observe the worst of their behavior and how it comes out when they are outside themselves. So good
yes.
on you. Great prep.
Yeah. Good for dialogue.
Oh God. Yes. And accents and all the things that people
Yes.
are disclosing that they don't think they are.
Secrets.
I love it. I love it. So with this book, if you were thinking about um, a character in it that didn't behave like you thought they were going to when the idea first came into your head, is there anybody in this book that misbehaved and colored outside the lines? Or are you a good outliner who
Uh, I don't outline at all. I'm a complete pantser. I encourage them to misbehave because that's how the story gets written.
Exactly. So yeah, if they don't misbehave, you have no story because
That's right.
you're starting from scratch. I love that feeling when you get that little sensation in the back of your head that a character is about to just blow your mind.
That's right.
So with the this book, if it were to become a movie, do you have in your mind actors that would be perfect to play the parts? Is that the kind of thing that you dream up?
Oh, not really, because I'm not really familiar with actors that age anymore.
Me either. Isn't that funny? I'll see things that pop across social media or like somebody's trending and I'm like, who are they? And then I'll think, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they do cast it, you'll just say, whatever.
That's right.
You pick the
I'll know
right
who
one.
to cast for the mom.
Yeah.
I've got that part.
Who's that going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I was just
But you could at least come up with that
right.
actor.
That's
Oh my gosh. So when you're writing, do you find that you're writing more than one story at once, or do you tend to focus in on just one thing?
I
Does your
prefer to
mind shift?
focus on just one thing, but I have so many coming out in the next year that I have to put what I'm writing aside and then do edits and then come back and do edits, and I don't like it at all.
It's
It's ruining
confusing.
my process.
Yeah. It's like you get out of voice and,
Yes.
out of even the plot line and come back and it's like, what's the name of the characters in this book? What do they look like?
Then you have to read the whole thing again before you go on, and you lose all that time and you've lost your momentum, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating, but I'm getting better at it.
A few years ago, I was writing a series and an opportunity came up to write something out of an old series. And I said, sure. It was the most hellacious experience of my life. It was like, that's so 5 years ago. I don't even remember writing that. In fact, I don't think I did. I think somebody else. Oh, goodness. And so with the day in the life of Shannon, the writer, what do you have a process, a place, a special outfit? How do you do writing?
I get the dog squared away on the couch beside me, wear him out,
How
He's
many dogs?
just one at the moment. We lost his life companion a few years ago, and he's actually getting ready to turn 16, but he
Oh,
still has the energy of a puppy. So it's a balance.
what kind of dog?
It's a Schnauzer mix. He's actually in the series, the dogs in the series.
The one that's coming out.
Dogs.
I
Yeah.
love it.
When I
I
wrote
love
the book.
it. I love it. So do you have a special writing outfit, or is it just about you and
T-shirt, T-shirt
yeah,
and shorts. It's Florida.
that's true. It is. It is Florida. And I'm coming to Florida tomorrow. So how's the weather? Am I going to be hot?
It was freezing this morning. It was like 57 degrees.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So it heats up during the day. We can come out of hibernation.
You know, the thing about Florida is 57 to me would feel like an incredible heat wave. However, it's wet.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that wet cold is the worst cold. So you have my sympathies for 57 and wet. So now we're going to do something that we've been calling the speed round. And I ask basically same or similar questions of everybody that comes on the show. So the people that listen or watch, and we've got viewers all over the world, YouTube and live streaming, and we've got podcast listeners. And so they've come to expect that you're going to face these questions. So just to pick a few of them with you. If you were to have to choose between sushi and pizza, it would be?
Sushi.
Sushi. Sushi. Easy for me not to say. And I guess with a Floridian, we would expect that you are more the seafood type, or where'd that come from?
I have an allergy to yeast.
There you go.
So I love pizza, but sushi's my power food. So
pizza doesn't love you. No, I already know that you are a pantser, not a plotter. And I think you're a dog and not a cat person. So we can skip those. It's happy hour. You used to be a bartender. What are you ordering at happy hour?
Tito's dirty martini with no vermouth.
Oh, that's nice. Dirty, like extra dirty, or just a regular?
Just a splash of olive juice.
Splash of olive juice. Very nice. You and I could drink together. And your character in this book was too young at this time for us to be considering her a drinker. But for your police procedural, if you were to go out with that character, what do you think they would order?
Tequila.
Tequila. Straight up?
Yes.
Body shots? I love it. All right. You win the lottery. It's a big one. First 5 things you spend your money on.
Ooh. Books. Is that only one thing?
They'd have to be very rare books to spend all your money. You've still got some left. Unless you bought a library.
No, the dog would get more spoiled, definitely. And I don't know. That's a really hard one.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
First thing I think about is I pay off all my bills. And then I'm like, but then what? I already have everything I want. It's when you are writing a book, what is your favorite part? Research, first draft, rewrite. What do you like?
First draft.
What about it? What about it makes you happy?
I'm finding out what happens. Research, I'll even do a bit of that during the first draft because I don't like to be wrong. And the rewrite, I just don't like rewriting. I don't like editing. It's just.
I don't like the letter you get that tells you what you're going to rewrite. That's not fun.
I don't like when you turn the page of that letter and then you see 2 more.
Yeah, you're like, oh, good. It's just one long paragraph that went on for 3 pages. Exactly. All right. And so if your protagonist, let's stick with Best Friends Forever for now. If Kate had a theme song, what would it be? Oh, that's tough.
I don't know, because she'd probably listen to younger music.
She probably would. She probably would. She'd probably be stuck in high school 10 years ago, 2010.
Let's see Lady Gaga, maybe.
Yeah. I kind of missed that generation myself. I find when I'm writing, I have to go back and look up all this music that my kids were listening to, and I still just somehow managed to just tune it out. All right. Last question. If you can be something other than a writer for one day? Your dream job, money's not an object. Would there be another job you'd want to do?
Queen of the World isn't available.
Well,
I would want to design like the haunted houses for like Halloween Horror Nights. I would want to work for Scare Attraction and design the scares and really scare people.
This is something that you have wanted to do for a long time, isn't it?
Yes.
This was not a random answer. This was a, yes, I want to scare people for a living, which is kind of what you do as a writer, but more blood and gore. So it's like you combine.
More visceral. Yeah, you really have the opportunity when you have someone in your grasp in like a haunted house or something.
Oh my gosh, would you be the one that's like watching behind the hidden partition to see their reactions? And
definitely. Let me know I did a good job.
You guys, Shannon is a little creepy.
Well, no one who knows me is going to deny that.
Oh, I absolutely love that. It's like you took forensic analyst and combined it with a writer and then added in a little bit of something else really twisted. I love it. I love it. Well, maybe you'll get yeah. Maybe you'll get a chance to be that and you could volunteer or something for next year. So I have kids and they love horror movies. Do you watch horror movies?
I do.
You do. I can't do it. Now, well, no, I just can't. I was going to say I've done some, but that's not even true. I can read like a Stephen King type of horror book, but otherwise I just can't. Do you aspire to write horror?
I've written some horror short stories.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, it isn't. No. You want the real thing. You want to see them crying.
It's not the same as facing your fears. I'm the person who's first in line in every haunted house. You know, I'm waiting for someone to scare me. And honestly, none of it scares me more than bad drivers. So
that's actually a really good point. Well, I hope that this is the first of many successful 2023 and onward books for you. It sounds like you've got at least 3 coming out this year. Been hard at work. Yes. And thank you for being on the show. It was a delight.
Thank you so much for having me.
And so I'm going to say goodbye now to Shannon, you guys. And I'm going to remind you that if you would like to go and see more about Shannon's books, that she has a website, shannonhollinger.com. For those of you that can see the video, it's across the bottom of the screen. And if you want to see past shows that have been recorded and archived, you can find them on my website, PamelaFaganHutchins.com, as well as upcoming shows. You can also, while you're out there, it would not hurt my feelings at all if you picked up my 2022 releases, which were Seeking Felicity, Bighorn, and Sitting Duck. I have none for you this year. Everything, and I'm going to have Shannon's 2023 and 2024 with 5 books coming out. And you can catch them all free in Kindle Unlimited if you are the kind of person that subscribes. Here's the last thing I have to say. Crime and Wine is a copyrighted and solely owned production of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. And I really appreciate them and what they do for us writers in helping get the word out to you guys about the great things you have available to you out there. So I'll see you on the next show where I will not be in Denmark. You guys have a good one. Read a great book. I recommend Best Friends Forever. Thanks for joining us today on Crime and Wine, chats with crime fiction authors and Pamela Fagan Hutchins. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll check back in with us next time for more thrills, suspense, and stories that will mystify, sometimes horrify, and always leave you wanting more.